He's getting older.
Pay that man his money!
Oh, hit the full button!
But not wiser.
That is totally absurd.
This is The Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to The Lefty Show, episode number 63. Welcome one, welcome all to The Lefty Show. I am your host, Lefty. Glad to be here with all of you today. Episode number 63 of The Lefty Show. Today, which is Friday. It's Friday, everybody. Aloha, Friday. It's Friday. I need a Friday open. I need a special Friday open that brings in all things Friday. If YouTube wasn't such a bastard about copyright, I would totally have, oh, God, who does that one song? It's by the, oh, shit, who does it? It's by the, not Journey. Anyway, I'll find it and I'll talk about it on Twitter because I can't talk about it on YouTube. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble. Anyway, welcome everybody to The Lefty Show today, Friday, July 25th, in the year of our Spaghetti Monster 2014. Hope to put on a good show for you here today. I hope you all have a good time listening to the show. Thank you to everybody that's been watching the show, liking and favoriting and subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody for following me on Twitter at Lefty643. Stay up to date on all the latest and greatest Lefty Show news and all my musings. Thank you to everybody that's sharing the show with your friends, family, and coworkers. Easier to do now because we've got an RSS feed. Head on over to leftyshow.podbean.com. That's leftyshow.podbean.com, and you'll be able to subscribe to the RSS feed there. Or if you're on Android, check out your favorite podcasting app of choice and search The Lefty Show. Or you can go to the iTunes Store and search The Lefty Show if you want to help us climb the podcast charts. Be sure to head on over to the iTunes Store, search The Lefty Show, and subscribe there. There's a link directly to the show in the iTunes Store in the description of this video on YouTube. And thank you to everybody that's been donating. Had some donations roll in. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. That's I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. I was reminded during the propers about my Spaghetti Monster shtick. Every year or every show, I introduce the show and I try to get. I'm pretty sure I've stuck with the streak. The streak is intact, I believe, for almost every episode of The Lefty Show and its reincarnation. I've given the date, and it just started because I was trying to have an official way to give the date. You know, the Friday, today, Friday the 25th of July in the year of our Spaghetti Monster 2014. And there's a way many people say the year. They say the year of our Lord. I believe it's an old English or Yiddish, maybe. It's an old English way to give the date, and it's blah, 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 in the year of our Lord. This is to signify that in the year, you see that on a lot of old official documents, in the year of our Lord, this or that. And I thought, oh, it might be a cutesy-futesy just a little joke, just a jab at myself being an atheist, where I say Spaghetti Monster. Instead of saying in the year of our Lord, I say in the year of our Spaghetti Monster. The joke being the what was it, Pastafarianism? Yeah, man, give me some of that ziti, man. Yeah, I like the ziti. It's good. It was a reference to the Spaghetti Monster, where, oh, you can see God, but you can't disprove God, and you say, well, you can't disprove a Spaghetti Monster, can you? Well, ha ha ha, Spaghetti Monster. And it was just a simple joke, and I thought, oh, well, what a way, that would be a funny way to make a subtle joke. And it's nothing but a joke. But some people, being the humorless assholes that they are, have to take issue with the fact that I say Spaghetti Monster instead of, and the fact that I say Spaghetti Monster is mocking their religion. And I have to say, again, like a few things, maybe it's, I said Spaghetti Monster. I said nothing about your religion, about your God. I didn't say anything about it. I said Spaghetti Monster. I say Spaghetti Monster every show. If every show you hear Spaghetti Monster and you think, that's a shot at my God, at my fictitious man that I believe in, or the invisible man in the sky that I believe in, maybe you've got some underlying problems there that you need to come to terms with. If you truly believe in God, and I say this to every theist out there, if you truly believe in your God, and you truly believe that is the answer, and that is true and right, and your God exists in whatever capacity your special book says it does, if you truly believe that, and you know in your heart of hearts that whatever your little special book and your special man has to say, it should not matter some asshole on the internet saying spaghetti monster. I mean, if you have the power of the Almighty at your back, if you have the Almighty Lord, or the Almighty Allah, or Muhammad, or Vishnu, or anything else. Shit, if you have Zeus, if you've got Zeus, if you've got the power and the belief of Zeus at your back, me saying spaghetti, what does it say about you that you get your panties in a twist if I say spaghetti monster? What is it? If your relationship with your supposed higher power is so tenuous that if I were to merely say spaghetti monster, you immediately make the conclusion of, spaghetti monster is something that people dreamt up to highlight the fact that it's bullshit that Christians say you can't disprove God because, nobody's proven that God doesn't exist. So you can say anything exists and you can't disprove that it doesn't exist. And oh my God, that's total bullshit reasoning to bootstrap yourself into legitimacy. And oh man, it pisses me off that they do that. Urgh! Maybe you should, I don't know. Maybe you should go to church. Maybe you should spend more time at church. If you truly believe in God, but that's your relationship with your religion. If that's your relationship with your religion, you need to work harder at it, probably. If my relationship was atheism, such that anytime somebody said God bless you, I went, what the fuck are you talking about? There is no God. Why are you blessing me? Get away from me, theist. So angry. Why are you mocking my atheism? Ha ha, fucker. If I did that, I would probably have to go read some more, I don't know, Lawrence Krauss, some Penn Jillette maybe. I would have to reevaluate my atheism if I just flew off the handle anytime somebody made reference in it, or even said something that made me make connections in my own head. So to get your panties in a twist and I don't want to get into the habit of taking shots at specific haters, but I've got to, because this is the guy. He's actually a child, which not surprising. He speaks like a child and has the reasoning capabilities of a child. This was the guy when I was talking about DUIs and DUI punishments and how I believe they're so out of whack on Twitter. This is the guy who got seriously upset with me about how wrong I was about how DUI convictions are overwrought and way too way too serious of punishments for victimless crimes. And he was the one that said, you're so, and he flying the flag of they did it and they should be in prison and da-da-da-da-da. The punishment should be more, not less. There should be more punishment for them. And I say, have you ever had a beer, or have you ever texted while driving? Have you ever had a single beer? Have you ever driven while sick? Maybe you had a fever, but you had to go somewhere. Have you ever done that? And he said, and this was his response, and I shit you not, it was, I don't know. I'm not old enough to drive yet. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're telling me how it is with respect to drunk driving. And this is why, and your entire reasoning for this level of punishment is good, if not more punishment is required. Your reasoning for that is you're impaired driving, your reaction time is impaired, and driving is so much harder when you are above 0.08 blood alcohol level that you need to be seriously punished for doing it. And I said, have you had any experience with impaired driving? And no, I'm not old enough to drive yet. Oh, some people. And I looked at that and I thought, man, just some people will do whatever they can to be upset about something. They will do whatever they can. There are some people in this life that you may run into and you may think, wow, that guy's pretty pissed off about that something. I wonder why. I wonder what's got him or her so pissed off. Why are you so upset about this thing? What are you doing? You seem there are people that you'll run into that seem to want to be really angry at things. Be really angry at you or the man or anything. Pick it, whatever it is. And it really is that there are people who just want to be contrarian. There are people who just want to be negative. There are just people, hell, the show is centered around it. It's my comedy bits. You're stepping on my comedy bits, man. What are you doing? And I do a shtick on this show, but there are people who will genuinely find anything and any way to get upset, to be upset. They live their life in a perpetual state of outrage, and they are always looking for the next thing about which to be outraged. They're always looking for the next thing. They want something to be outraged about, because then they can fly the flag of they can champion a cause and say, oh, these evil people doing these evil things, how dare they? How dare they do this? How dare they do that? There was a story I didn't want to cover in the news, which we're going to do later in the show. There's a story out of Detroit, a few stories about online donators creating funds to pay delinquent water bills in the city of Detroit, because the Detroit municipal water supply has started shutting people off. If you've got seriously delinquent water bills, they're shutting you off in Detroit. And people are raising money to pay, which is noble, certainly noble to try to help people, because if you've got a seriously delinquent water bill and you need water and you're still living there, wow, all right, that's probably not a very good existence. So that's certainly noble. However, people are donating with the cries of human rights violation. People are saying that the Detroit municipal water supply is violating the citizens of Detroit's human rights, denying them water. And there was another report of a Canadian city sending 1,000 liters of fresh, clean water to the city of Detroit as some kind of market protest to say, "Ha! See, look, here's water." But my thing, and you look around and everybody's, of course, they're all mainly liberal. They say, "How dare they're turning off the poor people of Detroit, the poor that just so happen to be black people of Detroit, and they're turning off their water. How dare they? The evil Detroit, evil, evil." And I say, well, wait, hold on a fucking minute. You are so looking to be outraged about something, to champion a liberal cause. You are so on that horse. You are looking so hard. And you're looking for anything to mount up and to fly that flag of injustice, that you're getting mad at a municipal water supply for shutting people off who don't pay. Where did you leave your reason? I need to go find your logic or your rational thinking, and I need to find it and bring it back to you. Somewhere along this road, many people just must have dropped or thrown away their rational thinking skills, their logic skills, because while it may be sad that people in Detroit, many people in Detroit don't make enough money or don't have enough money to pay their water bills, while that is sad, and I can certainly empathize with them, the gall on people to get mad at the municipality for turning off water for people that don't pay. Who the fuck do you think pays for the infrastructure? Who pays for that? Where does it come from? It doesn't just come from the sky. It doesn't get produced. It doesn't magically appear from the ether. Those trenches had to be dug. Those cement pipes had to be formed and stressed and then placed into the ground. And then the pumps. Will somebody not think of the pumps? The pumps and the electricity to run the pumps and the water treatment and all the treatment facilities and all the workers and all the maintenance people that have to do it all the time so that the sewage system and the water supply for the greater city and area of Detroit, the Detroit metro area, can have a functioning water system. That's what the bill is for. You pay for it because it's a big, complicated, expensive thing. And if you sign up for it and you don't pay for it, well, guess what? It gets turned the fuck off. You have a human right to water, a basic right, the hierarchy of needs. You have a right to water, yes. You don't have a right to a pressurized water system, a complicated infrastructure of water and sewage. You don't have a constitutional unalienable human right to that. So where are these people coming from that all of a sudden have this huge outrage, this monumentous outrage about you sign up for something and you don't pay for it? Whatever the reasons are, you're not paying for it. That's not the fault of the water company. It's not the water company's problem. If I stop paying my cell phone bill, they don't care. They just don't fucking care. If I don't pay my credit card bill, if you don't pay your credit card bill, if you don't pay your mortgage, if you don't pay your income taxes, if you don't pay your real estate taxes, it does not fucking matter why. It doesn't matter. We just went through a whole housing crisis where that was the problem. You signed up for this mortgage. You signed up for all that. Now you can't pay. Wells Fargo, Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, they don't care why you can't pay. All they care about is that you can't pay. You said at some point that you would be able to pay, and now you can't. And, well, that's a problem, and it's not my problem. It's not the problem of the people who are giving you the service in exchange for money. I mean, of course, empathize with the people who don't have running water in the city of Detroit and are trying to live there, but don't try to tell me that the city of Detroit is violating their human rights by turning off the very complicated system that brings them water. Don't try to tell me that. That's bullshit. No, pay your fucking bill or you don't get the pressurized, very complicated water delivery system. You don't get it. You don't have an unalienable right to that. Why? How could anybody even think that that's the way it needs to be? How could anybody even think that going off on an outrage spiel about how evil the Detroit Municipal Water System or water company is, what makes that make sense in your head? That, well, the pipes are already there. The trenches are dug. The maintenance. Who pays for the maintenance? Who pays for it? Who pays for the water treatment? Who pays for the R&D to make better water and make it more efficiently and all this stuff? Who pays for that? I mean, it's either the taxpayers, and you probably don't have a job and are not paying taxes anyway, or you're going to cry and bitch about how the taxes are too high, or it's the revenue generated from the billing cycles. Which one do you want? You cannot have both. You cannot not pay taxes because you're not making enough money, and then also similarly use the very complicated sewage and water supply system, and then not pay that because you can't pay anything else. What? Oh, and by the way, I want a prepaid cell phone. What the fuck? This outraged society. Now, this is not germane to Detroit. This is our outrage society, our entitled society. We believe that we are so entitled that we go around looking for ways to be outraged about this or that. We are going to go on and try to find something to be pissed off about because somewhere somebody's not getting something, and by God, that's a problem. By God, that's an issue. Not in my world, not in my society will people not be getting things they can't pay for or won't pay for and previously promised they would. This injustice will not stand. In our society, the entitlement of our society has turned not paying your bill from, well, shit, you should probably have paid your bill. When you stop getting a product or service because you don't pay the bill, it used to be, well, you should have paid the bill, or you should not have said that you could pay. It's turned from a responsibility to an injustice. It's turned from a lack of responsibility. It's turned from a stigma of about you that cannot pay. Say, well, why can't you pay, man? You said you would. Why can't you? Why won't you? It's turned from that to an injustice. Now it's an injustice that the evil Detroit municipal water supply is actually expecting bills to be paid. I mean, what are these people? You're expecting bills to be paid? What are you talking about? This is Detroit, my man. Nobody's paying for this water, but we still want it, by the way, and you better give it to us. Otherwise, you're evil, money-mongering whoremongers. That's what you are, unless you get us this water for free. That's what we want. We want it for free. And if you don't get us to it for free, it's going to be a problem. It's went from, hey, why did you sign up for this mortgage? Why did you go to the bank, sit down with a loan officer, and sign papers to get tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a house, remodel your house, or just buy boats? Why did you go in and do that if you knew that your position was so tenuous that if you lost your job, you wouldn't be able to pay any of it back? Why did you do that? It's gone from personal responsibility to an injustice it's gone from, why did you not pay your mortgage, or why did you sign up for the mortgage in the first place if you knew you couldn't pay it back if you lost your job, to, predatory lending. Oh my God, there's predatory lending, and how dare we? We must bring these predatory lenders to justice. By way of fines. Nobody's going to go to jail or anything like that. Our society has completely removed any and all personal accountability. No more accountability for anything. You signed up for water in Detroit, you can't pay it? Well, I still want my water anyway. Well, yeah, I know you want water, but you're not going to get it because you can't pay for it, or you won't pay for it. Find a way to pay for it, or get the fuck out of Detroit. And that's another thing. I'm trying to walk a very fine line here without sounding racist, because whenever you talk about something like Detroit, it's hard to say anything not in line with the majority and not come off as racist. Because if you say anything like pay your fucking bills, people's first response is, oh my God, you're saying black people can't pay their bills? And you say, what the fuck? No, that's not what I said. I said pay your bills. I don't care if you can or what color your skin is. You say you can pay, you pay. And if you can't, well then guess what? You don't get what you signed up for. But here's the other thing, and I don't want to sound too racist with this, but I don't want to sound racist at all, really, because this really has nothing to do with race necessarily, culture probably. But here's the thing, and the same thing with Chicago and the South Side of Chicago. If you don't want to live in abject poverty, like in Detroit, or if you don't want to live in an abject war zone, a civilian war zone like the South Side of Chicago, get the fuck out. Get out. How about instead of pleading with the powers that be, or pleading to authority, or pleading to the masses, appealing to the masses, saying, look at me and my strife. Please come help me because I signed up for water and I can't pay it, but I still want the water. Instead of looking to the out, look within and say, you know what? Maybe I should get the fuck out of Detroit. I don't like it here. This is not good. This is not a nice existence. I don't want this. I didn't want this. I never wanted this, and I did not know that it would be this bad. How about instead of trying to polish a turd, and Detroit is a turd, how about you just leave the turd? Just leave it. Get out of there. Don't cry about you can't pay for your water. Move to a place that has well service. You don't have to pay for anything. You just pull from the aquifer. Why don't you do that? Oh, well, humana. Get the fuck out of Detroit. Get the fuck out of Chicago. You don't like the South Side of Chicago, which is certainly reasonable. Oh my God, the violence, the gangs, the drugs. Get out. There's lots of places to go. Country's really big. Get the fuck out of the South Side of Chicago. If you, at a certain point, you are actively choosing to live in abject poverty or in the civilian war zone, you're choosing to do it. You could go elsewhere, but you're choosing to subject yourself to that danger or live in that strife. That is what you're choosing to do it. And after a certain point, I say, what the fuck do you want? You're choosing to live here. You could go. Nobody's stopping you. There's nobody at the border saying, "Let me see your papers," so that I can make sure that you leave. You can go wherever you want. We've got a gigantic fucking country. But you're in Detroit. You know you could leave Detroit, and you're just sitting there wanting your prepaid cell phone, getting abortions in a week, whatever, and your third abortion in 6 months, and wanting to make sure that you can get water without having to pay for it. Just get the fuck out. Just get the fuck out, or don't come crying to me about all the things that this is not Detroit being a shithole. I'll put it this way. Detroit being a shithole is not a new development. It's not a new development. In fact, there are probably people who have moved to Detroit knowing full well that it's a shithole. There's at least one person right now in the Detroit metro area who moved to Detroit knowing full well that Detroit is a fucking gigantic shithole, and now they're crying about it. They moved and said, "Oh, well, I know Detroit." They told their buddies or their girlfriends, "Yeah, I'm moving to Detroit," and they said, "Oh, it's a fucking shithole. Are you ready for it?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get it. Yeah, I know it's a shithole, but I'm gonna conquer that shithole. I'm gonna clean that shithole up." And now they're there crying, "Oh my God, where's my water? I want my water turned off." Get the fuck out of Detroit. And it can go to extreme lengths. If you don't like Alabama, if you don't like good old boys, and they come up and you say, "Boy, I tell you what," if you don't like that, which is, again, certainly reasonable, if you don't like that, leave Alabama. Don't try to make Alabama change, especially if it's an exercise of the sovereign state of Alabama. Don't try to make the sovereign bend to your will. Just leave. You don't like what the sovereign state of Alabama is doing? Leave Alabama. How about that first? Instead of crying human civil rights violation and trying to enact the wheels of justice to turn for you, for your specific narrow case, get the fuck out of Alabama. Get out. Go find somewhere else to go be or live however you want to live, or be however you are. How about that now? Which is not to say that you shouldn't do that. Which is not to say that you should not raise your hand and say, "Wait a minute, I think this is kind of fucked up." It's not to say that at all. But however, we need to get back to a place where the first response is personal accountability. The first one, not somewhere on down the line of, I've petitioned the courts, I've been heard before the Supreme Court, and they've said no, and I've tried everything, I've tried lobbying, I've tried it all, and it just won't work. Well, I guess it's time to get the fuck out of Alabama. No. The first one, personal accountability, needs to be first up. Detroit's a turd, and we should polish that, or we should not polish the turd. We should clean the turd up. We should scoop it into one of them little scoopers and deposit it in the proper depository or suppository if you get down like that. We should do something about that. And there's no shame at all in saying, "Hey, this is fucked up. We need to figure this shit out." There's nothing at all wrong with that. However, I want to hear first up, not somewhere down the line after you've put out your hand for other people to do something for you. I want to hear first, I'm going to leave Detroit. I'm going to leave Detroit because fuck this place. Fuck it. It's awful. They ran it into the ground, and now it's broke, and I can't pay the bills, and I can't find a job because all the jobs moved elsewhere. I'm going to fucking leave. I want that to be the go-to for many people. Not to pretend that they don't care, but I want them to hold themselves accountable first, instead of trying to hold me and everyone else accountable to help them first. That's what I want. I want some personal accountability, and I want it to just be the first. Maybe I should get the fuck out of here. Instead, it's like our society. Imagine our society is just some guy living in an apartment, and he's got a messy fucking apartment. It's awful. It's an awful apartment. It's gross, pizza and spilled beer. It doesn't have a vacuum. Doesn't even have cleaning supplies. Our society now, the first response. Let's say the guy wakes up one day and realizes, "Oh shit, this place needs to be cleaned up." Not I should clean this place up. This place needs to be cleaned up. Our society, if our society was in control of that guy, the first thing he would do is call somebody else and plead with them to come clean it up. He would call somebody else and say, come, look at this. Look at how I live. Look at the dirtiness and all the spilled beer and all the other things here. Look at how awful it is. And oh my goodness, do you see? Please come help me. That's our society now. I want a society to say, I should clean this fucking place up, and then go fucking do it. Instead of crying to everybody else to come help you, instead of crying to your neighbors and friends to come clean up your apartment for you, look around and say, holy shit, I at least helped create this mess. Maybe you had some parties and some other people helped too. Oh shit, I helped create this mess. I should probably clean it up. It's my apartment, and if I don't want to live in filth, if I don't want to live in this pigsty, maybe I should have something to do about it. Or maybe I should do something about it. That should be the first response. But that's not the response of our society anymore. The response is just, oh my goodness, look at the awfulness. Look at the awfulness that other people have placed upon me. Look at the awful things that other people have done to me. Look at the things that society, the man, the banks, the Wall Street, the da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Look at all the things they've done to me. And we've gotten to a point where even to question, even to say, well, what have you done for you? You're either painted as a racist or as a right-wing nutjob conservative. And I said, no, I just want personal accountability. You don't like Detroit, you don't like Alabama, you don't like LA and the droughts and all the things. Get the fuck out of those places. Don't cry about water management in LA. You know water is a problem in that part of the country. Get the fuck out. Or deal with it. Otherwise, you got nothing to say. You got nothing to say. We need a lot more accountability in our society. And to say, oh, they're evil. Detroit is evil for daring to try to collect money for the very complicated infrastructure they provide for people. And they're evil for turning it off, and they're violating their human rights. It's just, what? Hold on. Wait a goddamn minute. Wait just a goddamn minute. I say that a lot. I look around, and I'm like, wait just a fucking goddamn minute. Did you really just say what I think you just said? You really think that people should just get away with not paying their water bills and get stuff? Really? Really? You're abandoning all reason and logic so that you can be outraged about things and feel as though you're accomplishing something. How about you turn that outrage to somewhere where it's actually needed, somewhere where it's actually logical? Like, I don't know, the NSA, the government spying, drone strikes on civilians. Direct your ire at the Israel-Palestine conflict, both of them, because they both do fucked up things. But specifically now, Israel bombarding UN encampments. Now, how about you do that instead of this person that said they could pay it and would pay it didn't, and now that's turned off, and that's bullshit. This will not stand. All right, let's do some news. We got a lot to talk about in the news today. Got a lot of things. Breaking news: YouTube, Google, independent sources have apparently confirmed that Google is buying out Twitch TV. We're going to talk about the Ray Rice suspension from the NFL after he knocked his girlfriend unconscious. Mark Cuban has some things to say about U.S. corporations jumping ship, so to speak, on taxes. And a psych patient was involved in a shootout in a Philadelphia hospital, and his doctor, or a doctor, returned fire. Was able to stop the situation. It's the news that left. Let's talk about all the things. All right, so I don't know how to cover this first. Let's talk about Ray Rice. Ray Rice, running back for the Baltimore Ravens, was earlier this year, I believe, caught on surveillance tape dragging an unconscious girlfriend, his unconscious fiance, out of an elevator in an Atlantic City hotel. And it was later substantiated that he had knocked her unconscious in the elevator after some kind of altercation. And what we saw of him dragging her out was the aftermath. She was knocked quite unconscious, literally unconscious, and Ray Rice was dragging her about in the wee hours of the morning a few months ago. And a suspension was just handed down from Commissioner Roger Goodell of the NFL. 2 games for Ray Rice. 2 games. Ray Rice suspended for 2 whole games for knocking his fiancée unconscious in an Atlantic City hotel lobby and dragging her somewhat lifeless looking body about. It was actually kind of creepy to watch the video. One human dragging another completely unresponsive human about. It was rather chilling to see. And the full story is Ray Rice was later, he married that fiancée a day after being indicted for assault charges. A grand jury was convened, and Ray Rice was indicted for domestic abuse or assault, because it occurred in public. I guess it wouldn't be domestic. Indicted for assault. And after the police investigated, apparently there wasn't a lot of evidence, and I believe the fiancé, if we're assuming that she married him the day after he was indicted, probably wasn't cooperative, and the police were forced to then drop the investigation and drop the charges, and Rice is going to have his record expunged. Now, just a quick aside here, there's a lot of people who are outraged about this, and rightly so. However, I feel that the outrage is seeping into reporting of facts. And that's a problem. That's a problem when your outrage as a reporter, even if you're writing an editorial, there's a problem when your personal outrage at a story is overriding your reporting of facts, or overriding your understanding of facts. Here's the deal. The police just don't offer to expunge your record. Okay? I saw it reported that, and the police washed their hands of the whole thing, and he's even his arrest record is even going to be expunged, which maybe it was just clumsy wording, maybe it was just a flummox, if you will. I don't even know why I said flummox there. I think I used it in a context approaching right. I'm not sure though. Maybe it was just clumsy wording, but it appeared as though they were putting the author, and I've seen this a few times in researching the story, putting the onus on the prosecutors and the police for doing this. Like, he's having his record is going to be expunged. They're expunging his arrest record for this. And hold on just a minute. Now, Ray Rice is a wife beater or fiance beater, and he knocked a female unconscious and was dragging her about in the lobby of an Atlantic City hotel, and that is not good. That's not an action. That's not something that we want to reinforce in any way. However, let's keep the facts the facts. The police just don't offer to expunge your arrest record. They don't just like, hey, by the way, would you like us to do this? Would you like us to make all this kind of go away? And by the way, the fact that he was arrested and charged with this will never, ever, 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 ever go away. The arrest record is not expunged. There is, to my knowledge, there is absolutely no way, to my limited knowledge, which of course is limited, there is absolutely no way to expunge the fact of an arrest, the record of an arrest. There will always be, you were arrested and charged with this. You were arrested for this. The charges may go away, but you were arrested under suspicion of assault, blah, 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 blah. And also, that doesn't just get offered up. The judge doesn't say, hey, by the way, Ray Rice, how you, big fan, can I get an autograph? But also, there's this issue of your record here. Now, would you like for us to go on and go ahead and get rid of that for you? He said, yeah, I'd like that very much. Okay, cool. Thank you. Good luck next season. That's not what happened. That's not how it works. Ray Rice, had to hire an attorney in a separate court filing to try to get that to make that happen. It doesn't just go away because the police couldn't get a cooperating witness. I'm assuming that the fiance would not cooperate. But just simply put, don't allow your personal outrage at a story, however justified, and you are justified certainly at being outraged about this, don't let that sort of sour the facts on you, because the facts are enough. You don't need to skew the facts in any way to make Ray Rice and Roger Goodell look like dickless assholes. I mean, Ray Rice and Roger Goodell make themselves look like dickless assholes all the time. All the time they make themselves look like dickless assholes. You don't need to go around, you as a reporter, as an editorial writer, don't need to go around twisting facts to make them look even more like dickless assholes. They are dickless assholes enough. In fact, every asshole is dickless. But that's neither here nor there, okay? Don't semanticize with me. This is my show. Why are you talking on my show? Don't know. So Roger Goodell handed down a 2-game suspension to Ray Rice after it's very clear Ray Rice punched his girlfriend multiple times. I don't know. I did not get down to the specifics enough to determine like how many punches and how hard with what force. It was hard enough. I mean, he's an NFL running back, big dude, big, just big, powerful human being, and he punched a female in the face and knocked her unconscious. And despite not being charged, Roger Goodell has precedent. Or has set precedent for suspending people for a lot longer for a lot less. No crimes committed, and you're getting a 4-game suspension for smoking ganj. If you test positive for marijuana, you don't have to be arrested for marijuana. You test positive the first time, I believe it's a stern warning and fine. Second time, 4-game suspension. Third time, a whole season, and so on and so forth. But you never, ever have to be arrested for marijuana. You test positive for marijuana, and it's a completely private, a civil thing. You get tested by the NFL, which does not immediately turn over those records to the police. You just test positive, and they punish you as a result. If you've had multiple run-ins with the law, even where you were arrested but not charged with anything, a la Ray Rice, if you're talking about Pac-Man Jones, this is from Deadspin. May 17th, 2007, Titans quarterback Adam Pac-Man Jones suspended a season for various violations of the league's personal conduct policy. He'd had numerous run-ins with police, the most serious stemming from his presence at a nightclub shooting that left one man paralyzed. Roger Goodell wrote a letter to Jones detailing the suspension. Part of it reads as follows, okay? This is from Roger Goodell's office to Adam Pac-Man Jones in May of 2007. Quote, "Your conduct has brought embarrassment and ridicule upon yourself, your club, and the NFL, and has damaged the reputation of players throughout the league. You have put in jeopardy an otherwise promising NFL career and have risked both your own safety and the safety of others through your off-field actions. In each of these respects, you have engaged in conduct detrimental to the NFL and have failed to live up to the standards expected of NFL players. Taken as a whole, this conduct warrants significant sanction." And that was for just being at a nightclub, of course, probably being part of a nightclub brawl that resulted in somebody pulling a gun and shooting some other guy and paralyzing him. That was for just being there and just, fucking and cocking around and being in trouble with the law. That's a full season. And that's shaming. That's shaming with some teeth there from Roger Goodell. What he wrote. Your conduct has brought embarrassment and ridicule upon yourself. He's like an angry Asian father. You have angered family. That's as far as I'm gonna go down that voice. We're gonna put that voice away in the vault, never to be seen again. Will that voice come out? That was not at all Asian. I need Joe Coy on the show so that he can go with overbearing Asian father to be angry. You have brought anger and shame upon your club and family. Come on. That's Roger Goodell in 2007. And here's another one. This is a 6-game suspension. In April of 2010, Steelers quarterback Brendan Roethlisberger suspended 6 games, later reduced to 4, after being accused of sexually assaulting a 20-year-old woman. The charges were later dropped, but Goodell justified the suspension in a letter to Roethlisberger. Again, this is Roger Goodell writing to a player, this time Ben Roethlisberger, accused of sexual assault. The police investigated. The charges were later dropped. Does that sound familiar? Charged with something, grand jury, or he was arrested or charged, a grand jury convened, came down with charges, and then an investigation ensued. The people wouldn't cooperate, and now the charges and the investigation had to be dropped. Sound familiar? Did that happen recently? I don't know. Here's what Roger Goodell had to say about it in 2010. Quote, "The personal conduct policy makes clear that I may impose discipline, quote, even where the conduct does not result in conviction of a crime, end quote. As, for example, where the conduct imposes inherent danger to the safety and well-being of another person. And that was 6 games in 2010. Ray Rice beat the shit out of his old lady, out of his woman, his girl, his girlfriend, his fiance, his soon-to-be wife. Knocked her unconscious. Knocked her unconscious. Do you realize how hard you have to hit a person and what happens when your brain receives trauma to the point that it turns you off? Your brain, that's your brain going, fuck whatever you're doing, off. Stop it. Our brains have the ability to make us stop doing things just by blinking off our consciousness. Just, oh shit, this is really bad. Boop. Pull the plug. Turn it off really quick. Hold on, reset, reboot. Maybe that'll do something. Maybe this will stop whatever it is that just happened, really traumatic thing that just happened that we really did not like. That's how cool our brains are. Do you realize the trauma you have to impose on somebody to make that happen? This isn't like she slapped him and he slapped her back. No, this was probably close fist to the face, and Ray Rice is a big, strong man, and he beat the shit out of this girl, and her brain clicked off for a bit. That's some serious punching. That's a serious punch. At least one. She didn't just, like, turn herself off, like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep now. Bye. No, that was a serious punch, and that's 2 games. 2 games for Ray Rice. Now, personally, I think the bigger outrage should be that this was not investigated or prosecuted further. That should probably be the bigger outrage, because Ray Rice missing a couple of game checks isn't a big deal. I mean, like the NFL or like police officers, NFL players want to do their job. They want to play. So a suspension from playing, I don't think is a small deal. Suspension from playing a game, it may seem to people who don't have that job that it's not anything, that it's like a paid vacation or at least a mandatory vacation. But I read a lot from people that say, in terms of police getting suspended or desk duty, when you are on paid leave as a result of an investigation for your conduct on the force, that's not good. I mean, you can go out to the cop bar and have a few more beers and not have to worry about waking up early in the morning to go walk your beat, but you're still not doing your job, which you want to do. Presumably, you want to be a police officer and you want to be out there doing it. You are getting paid to sit at home and you're agonizing over what might result of the investigation. And so similarly, it doesn't require too much of a stretch of logic to apply that to NFL players. And so while a 2-game suspension, you're a professional football player, you get paid millions to play a game and you don't get to play 2. Oh, my goodness. I think that's a big deal for them. I think they want to be on the field, whatever the sport is, basketball, football, soccer, baseball. If you're suspended, you want to be out on that field. You want to be out on that field practicing your craft, practicing your, quote, profession, and being the best at it that you can be, especially if you're not done playing and you want another contract. Those are 2 games worth of statistics, perhaps 2 games worth of touchdowns that Ray Rice can use, or Ray Rice's agent can use to get a better deal or renegotiate a contract for somewhere down the line. So while it's not an insignificance, this suspension, because it is somewhat significant, I think the bigger outrage should be at least on the woman. Why are you not? He knocked you fucking unconscious. You want to be a part of that? And the only thing I can think, and I'm completely open to somebody telling me otherwise, the only reason I can think that charges were actually not brought is because she refused to cooperate. If the fiance refused to cooperate and the police can't make their case, they're not going to. They're not going to continue and spend taxpayer dollars, or at least the idea goes. They're not going to continue to spend taxpayer dollars to prosecute a case where even the victim doesn't want to be a part of it. They don't want to help, and they've moved on, and they even married the guy the day after the grand jury handed down an indictment. Where's the people talking to the woman? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have this. You can you can find another guy. Unless this is the one. I mean, why are you accepting of this? Why are you not cooperating with the police? He hit you so hard to knock you unconscious. What is wrong? That should be the outrage. The outrage should be that somebody didn't get to this woman and tell her, no, you'll get millions from Ray Rice. It just won't be because you're his wife and you divorce him. You're going to get millions from him because you're going to press charges and then sue him in civil court for what he did to you. You'll get millions from Ray. It just won't be because you're his husband. You need to tell this woman it's okay to press charges to this man for fucking knocking you unconscious. Press fucking charges. People are coming down on Roger Goodell for pussyfooting around and suspending Ray Rice, which I agree with. I mean, half a season at least. But I'm not going to cry any tears and to act as though suspending Ray Rice from playing football games does anything at all for the victim. The NFL suspension is for everybody else to feel good about themselves. It's for everybody else to feel better about what happened, to feel some sort of closure. That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants Ray Rice suspended, not because they believe that it will somehow help the victim, because if it was really about helping the victim, they'd want charges reinstated and they want investigation and prosecution. That's what they'd want. To make this about, somehow the answer is found in the NFL suspension. That's just bullshit. That's bullshit. If you really want to help this woman, if you really wanted to help her, you'd be talking about, wait a minute, why wasn't this prosecuted? And then you'd talk about, and then somebody would say, well, she didn't want to cooperate. Again, I believe that's what happened. That's the only thing I can think of. Well, she didn't want to cooperate with the prosecution. Then you'd have to talk to her and say, what are you doing? Don't go with this battered woman syndrome. No. You're okay. Let's remove you from the situation and talk about this reasonably. But everybody being outraged at Roger Goodell, with good reason, because Goodell's punishment of Ray Rice does not fit with any other punishment he's handed down for even lesser non-crimes. To make this about an NFL suspension seems silly, because if you're outraged about the lack of suspension, you should be just as outraged, more outraged at the lack of effective prosecution. Be outraged at that, because that would really give the victim some semblance of closure. Whatever closure there can be had after such a traumatic experience, probably seeing the guy perp walked into jail would make her feel better. Or at least suing him for $5 million might make her feel better, might give her some, not all, certainly not all, some feeling of closure, some semblance of closure. Don't make this about Roger Goodell and some bullshit punishment in some bullshit league in some bullshit sport, because that's just, bullshit. And on this note, too, because on the other side of this is Ray Rice, who's, again, I'm going to speak in generalities about NFL players, and just because a large percentage of NFL players are black does not mean that I'm speaking specifically about black people, okay? I got to say that now. I have to say that now as a defense. Ray Rice is a football player, and football players, despite many of them or all of them in the NFL attending at least 3 years of college, some 4, and getting a degree even, tend to not be very intelligent. They have the bullshit piece of paper, but that's just because, as we all know, their papers were written for them, the tests taken for them. They had the answers. Much of it is bullshit. And yes, I'm aware of Chris Cluey. He's a very well-read, intelligent guy. There was the Rhodes Scholar. He was a safety, I believe, from Florida State, I want to say. He was a Rhodes Scholar and actually took a pass on the NFL draft to head to Oxford University, I believe. I know of the guys that are molecular biologists, the third string lineman who's majoring in molecular biology, or the punter who's a chemist or something like that. Yes, I know, but the guys in the NFL, probably not the sharpest knives in their respective drawers, and whatever parchment they have hanging on the wall is way more likely than not bullshit. So here we have a group of guys, all of them guys, obviously, and their job is to get to be the largest, fastest humans they can be. The largest and fastest humans they can possibly be. And one way about going about that is, well, steroids. And we know it's a thing. We know steroids in the NFL is a thing. We know enhancement, performance enhancement, human growth hormone, all those things in the NFL are a thing. Any idea of, oh, they're testing, no. Get that out of here. You don't get to be that large. There's no way Clay Matthews is that way just by taking creatine and whey protein, okay? And spending a couple hours in the gym a day. That's not, you don't get that body from that. There's something else going on. Don't try to tell me. And that's okay, because we pay these people we allow these people to be paid millions of dollars, because every single Sunday in the fall and winter, we all sit in front of our televisions collectively, or we congregate to stadiums and sit and pay lots of money for parking and beer and the ticket itself to watch these gladiators on a modern combat stage. We have created these gladiators. We have told these people, it matters not. Your education, your intellect, your mind does not matter. We're all about, we want your body. We want you to be our gladiators. And we're gonna pump you up full of steroids. We're gonna pump you up full of cash. And we're going to make you the biggest, baddest, fastest thing you can possibly be. And your job for, what is the average NFL career? 3 years? 4? For an average of 3 to 4 years, we are going to let you loose on other similarly specimen humans. We are going to let you loose on each other, and your job is to hit each other as fast and as hard as you can for the entertainment of millions, perhaps billions of people. That's your job. That's your job. And that's your only job. And we're going to compensate you handsomely for it, but that's all you have to do. Your job is to be big, mean, scary, and fast, and to be violent. Your job is to be violent to other human beings, essentially. Within strict confines of a game, yes, but when you let's take that all together now. So you take a maybe approaching average intellect in your average football player, you give them whatever you have to give them to make them the biggest, fastest gladiators they can be, and you tell them their job is to be violent to other people. And then you reinforce their violence by paying them handsomely, millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, over many years, hundreds of millions in some cases. You have effectively reinforced violence, and then you let them loose on society. So here you have a intellect with a pumped full of steroids and pumped full of cash in his wallet, who's been told throughout his life, from peewee football all the way to high school, all the way to college, has been told your job is to be violent and you're really good at it, and we're going to reward you handsomely, whether it's with popularity in high school, $50, $100 handshakes in college, or millions of dollar contracts in the NFL. Their violence has been reinforced for years, and now they are rich, full of steroids, and let loose on the public. What do you think they're going to do? Sure, there are some that don't do anything stupid. Of course, there are many of them that don't do anything stupid. But don't you think that you increase the likelihood that one of them is going to do something stupid when you congregate a group of them, of people, make them big, large, fast, angry humans, tell them to be violent, reward their violence, and then let them loose on society? They're going to be violent. You have raised the stakes and raised the probability that these people are going to do violent, stupid things. That's why Ben Roethlisberger thought it was okay to rape that girl in the bathroom. He just, the concept of it being wrong did not occur to him. It did not, because that's just, I'm fucking Ben Roethlisberger. I'm a big, violent, angry man. This is what I do. This is why Ray Rice thought it was okay to bludgeon his girlfriend or his fiance. There's no doubt in my mind that the concept, what you know as wrong as violent, what you know as villainous, he does not see that way. The whole concept, their concept of violence and right and wrong are skewed, perhaps irrevocably. That's why Ray Lewis probably thought it was okay to stab that guy a few times. That's why Marvin Harrison probably thought it was okay to shoot at that guy a bunch. Why Pac-Man Jones thought it was okay to tell his buddy to go kill somebody. Why Aaron Hernandez wanted to play John Gotti gangster. Because they've been told they've been violent their entire lives. And that violence has been reinforced. You're just going to reinforce people being violent. And does it mean at some point you can't be mad at them? On some level, yes. On some level, you can't be mad, or you have to be understanding. I'll put it this way. You have to be understanding of the mentality of somebody like Ray Rice. Doesn't mean that it's not a crime, and it doesn't mean that it's not wrong, but you have to understand from their perspective the idea of violent human who's had their violence reinforced. Is it likely or even possible that they don't have the same concepts of right and wrong with respect to or vis-a-vis violence that we do? They don't. They can't. And we got to look at that and say, well, Ray, somebody needs to pull Ray aside and say, Ray, you fucking got lucky here. You understand that, right? Somebody needs to pull Michael Vick. Michael Vick understands it. Michael Vick, by all accounts, gets it. Which is more than can be said for many, many other NFL players who have had run-ins with the law. Michael Vick, via his public persona and everything he said after the incident, Michael Vick gets it. He's, all right, good for you. But all these other guys, not really. Ray Rice probably does not really effectively understand what he did and why what he did was wrong. He probably thinks it's a pain in the ass that he can't play 2 games. He does not understand because he is incapable, perhaps, of understanding. Now, again, it's not to say that it's not wrong, not to say that it's bad, or that you can't, that you can't punish these people, or that it's not bad what these people do. But just understand that, well, they might not have the same concepts and the same compass that we do. All right, let's do one more story before we close out the show here. This is Mark Cuban. If your company is moving for tax reasons, I'm selling your stock. This is Yahoo Finance. Mark Cuban isn't a fan of tax inversions either. Last night, President Obama spoke with CNBC's Steve Leisman, and their first topic of conversation was the issue of tax inversions, or mergers, where U.S.-based companies acquire foreign companies and move their tax base overseas to enjoy lower rates. Obama said this strategy, among other things, quote, undermines people's confidence in how companies are thinking about their responsibilities to the country as a whole, end quote. Cuban took his rhetoric a step further. He said he's selling stock in companies that move for tax reasons. On Twitter this morning, Cuban fired off a series of tweets about how companies that move their tax base overseas to avoid paying taxes force existing taxpayers to make it up elsewhere. If I own stock in your company and you move offshore for tax reasons, I'm selling your stock. There are enough investment choices here. If you talk to me as a shareholder and ask me to accept a higher PE so you can save jobs, I'm open to it. The risk doesn't leave the system. When companies move offshore to save on taxes, you and I make up the tax shortfall elsewhere, sell those stocks, and they won't move. Look at your portfolio holistically. A court may push up the stock. It may push up your taxes. Taxes are forever. Cuban is one of the most outspoken and influential business voices around, and his comments are certain to get notice. The chances that these comments spur action in Congress, which is where any move to limit tax inversions would come from, are probably remote. But the more people who are outspoken against tax inversions, the harder it might be for Congress and corporations to maintain the status quo. Can we really stop with the whole humans or like we're robots in a marketplace thing? I mean, this is what we do. This is what we do. To some people, it may seem the whole concept of, wait a second, you can somehow, if you sell an American product, you're an American company and you sell an American product to Americans, you make a lot of money in America, you can somehow move your, quote, tax base offshore so that you only pay taxes in Ireland or in elsewhere with favorable rates, and we allow that? And people say, well, yeah, I guess that's kind of the way that we've allowed this to happen. And To some people, that's not even a concept that rings home. It's like, wait a minute, you can do that? It's even a stretch to think that would even be possible. How is it in any way possible that this can be done? But people do it. Companies do it. Corporations do it. Pseudo-persons do it. And we think that's okay? And we need President Obama to say, yeah, no more of this. No, it's not okay, period. It should not be done, period. We shouldn't. The fact that we would need Congress to say in some way, whether it be via law or closing a loophole, the fact that there needs to be some act of Congress to tell corporations and rich individuals that if you make a lot of money in America from Americans, you should pay American corporate taxes or American taxes. We shouldn't need an act of Congress to say that. We should not need that. It should not need to be said that if you make a lot of money in America from Americans, you need to pay American taxes. Why would we ever need, if we are truly not, if the human species is truly not a collection of shit, we shouldn't need this to be said. This shouldn't need to be said. If capitalism truly was the answer, this should not need to be said. We're a capitalistic society, are we not? This should not need to be said. Congress should not have to say something to get people to pay taxes, to keep people from trying to fuck everybody. Everybody. Because when Apple moves their tax base into Ireland so that they pay Irish taxes and no corporate income or no corporate taxes in America, it fucks everybody, all of us. Why do you think why are you in the tax bracket you are? Why do you think you pay so much in taxes? Why do you think that all these things happen? Why are there so many federal taxes on gasoline, federal tax on this, federal tax on that? Why do you think there are? Do you think it may have something to do with the fact that we allow corporations and private businesses to just all of a sudden, oh, by the way, I'm an Irish company now. Yay. And the very fact that we need an act of Congress to say, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this. It's just, we're fucked. Unless we can abandon any concept of personal value, or unless we completely revamp our concept of value, we're fucked. Because no matter what we do, there are going to be people that do shitty shit like this. That would require an act of Congress to say, you're generating billions in revenue in America. Could you pay taxes here, please? You're an American company started by Americans. You sell products in English to Americans, and you have a lot of stores in America. You generate a ton of business in America. You do 90% of your business in America. Could you not, maybe you shouldn't go and claim tax asylum in Ireland. Maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe that's not the right thing to do. Why do we need to make it legal? This should be just a human thing. Oh shit, yeah, I should pay taxes as an American company, because I do 60%, 75% of my business in America. We shouldn't need Congress to tell us that. Humans just suck, man. Let's bring it home. Another great episode of The Lefty Show. I thank you all for joining. I hope you had a great time listening. I had a great time putting on the show for you. Thank you to everybody for watching, liking, favoriting, subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can go to find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody that's been following me on Twitter. Stay up to date on all the latest and greatest Lefty Show news. Head on over to Twitter.com/Lefty643 or just at Lefty643. Thank you, everyone that will share the show with friends, family, and coworkers, which is easy to do now. Just head on over to LeftyShow.podbean.com to subscribe to the RSS feed, or go to your favorite Android podcasting app of choice, search The Lefty Show, or go to the iTunes Store if you want to help us climb the podcast charts. Search The Lefty Show there at the iTunes Store, and be sure to subscribe to the feed. Link in the YouTube description to the iTunes Store page. Thank you, everybody, for donating. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. Anyway, guys, that's my time. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. Enjoy your weekend. I'll catch you next time I'm out. Bye.
Welcome to Con Air.